Hello everybody and welcome. This is MS Maliks 681 back with a story system for Open Beats of Rage. So I do know that there are other story systems out there by Piccolo and Crude Dude. So these are very good, very in-depth story systems. I'm not too familiar with them, to tell the truth. I haven't actually used their ones. I've tested the demo for Crude Dude's story system. I haven't tried Piccolo's one, but I know that they both don't do what I wanted. I wanted a different type of story system, something a bit more user friendly. So I've built this as simple as possible to use for the end user. So someone with little to no scripting knowledge should be able to just pick this up, put in a mod, and use it for some kind of story or text-based cutscenes for their game, hopefully. So I'll just give you a little preview of the story system. We'll just run through this little demo I've made. So sorry about the dialogue, it's not the best. So there you got Max. Okay, listen up ladies, today we are taking out a super evil and scary monster. I need you to be at your best out there. Get ready to kick some ass. And if you die, I will personally see to it that your deaths are not in vain. I will complete the mission no matter what. So I'm pressing the attack button to actually skip to the next bit of dialogue. There's Mary with a little hey. So hey, I never signed up to fight monsters. We are supposed to fight crime. And what kind of dangerous monsters have you found? That we might end up dying. We are not agreeing to this, right, Cooler? And there's Cooler. Oh, this sounds like fun. I cannot wait. I hope this monster has lots of blood. Lead the way, Max. And Mary just says, Cooler, you need help. So then we get onto this monster. Kill him. So Max says, job well done, girls. We'll be having lobster for dinner tonight. Can I cut it open, please, says Cooler. And finally, Mary, I need a holiday. So attack button, just skip straight through it, and that's everything finished. Looks pretty simple, pretty straightforward, nothing too fancy, unfortunately. Obviously with the visuals you can put in whatever images you want. So I've tried to make it very minimalistic. So there's actually nothing in my scripts folder here. I've got everything in this story folder right here. So hopefully it's nice and easy to follow and understand. So firstly, I'll just go over the 3 text files we've got here. So the story is actually a text entity that is spawned to stop all the action and get a story going. So some people might be surprised to see that this has absolutely nothing in it. It's literally just you spawn the story entity. It's a text type entity and it has the subtype and no skip, so no button can skip through this text entity. There's nothing, it just spawns and repeats a 0 animation of nothing. I did a long delay because I didn't see a point of doing a short one because there's nothing displaying. On draw script has to be on there pointing to the correct place, so we've got data story underscore script.c. So the on draw script literally does everything for the story, well, coding wise. So let's get to the story script. So here it is. So this is the bulk of it. This actually controls when you press the attack button to go to the next line. This does that for you, and it's got all the settings. So how far down the screen you want your text to start displaying. You can also set cutoff points. So let me just show you those. So this is it, text customization. So here I've done it so these are the settings the user can put in for himself for how he wants his story parts to look. So again, we've got the minimum, which is the where the text starts. So from the left of the screen, how far in before your text starts. So I've done this on a percentage basis. So HRES, this will get the resolution of your mod. So if your mod is 320 by 240, you'll get that 320. and when you times it by 0 point whatever, this will be the percentage. So this is 15%. So I've told it to start from 15% from the left of the screen, 15% in, and it will then start displaying text. So the max is where the text gets cut off. So this is going to go 85% of the screen, so it'll be towards the right hand side where the text will get cut off. So you can modify these figures to how you want yours to look. And the height, this is how far down the screen before your text starts displaying. So I've set it to 73. So the last one is obviously the font. You can set which font type is used. Now I didn't set it so you can actually modify the name font. So I mean you can do that manually right here. So set the picture from the current line. This will load the first string. So actually let me get over to the text file as well. So this is the text file. This is literally for someone who's not going to touch the coding part of it, this will be the rest of it. But there are some things I do need to cover on this. So the first argument, we'll call it, that's what they call it in file streaming. So the first bit of text without any white spaces, this will be where you load your image. So I'm pointing to data story max.gif. The next argument, so I've tabbed over here to the next argument, so it looks all in line and neat and tidy. So we've got max. This will be the name displayed for the character, and then 2 lines down I started all the text. Now this was the text I read out earlier. Okay, listen up ladies, today we're taking out a super evil and scary monster. So the thing I've done differently with my text here that I haven't seen in any other story systems is you just do a lump of text, and the scripting that I've done behind it, I've tried to make it clever. So it will take this big lump of text and it will decide when a line needs to be cut down to the next line. And if it's taken up the maximum allowed amount of lines for the mod, it will skip to the next. Well, you've got to press the attack button to increment to the next part of the story. So I've tried to make it very clever. So all of this is the whole first, I think, 3 thing. So you've got to press the attack button like 2 or 3 times to skip through all this. And this is all the text that just Maximo was saying. It's all in one big line. It has to be one connected line. So the way I would normally do this, I would make a new text file. I would start typing, and then I would do a space at the end. So this is a restriction of my story system. It has to have a space on the end. Where we've gone. So all of these have a space at the end of them. Sorry, an underscore at the end of them. So what I do is once I've typed out what I want to write, press Ctrl and H, make an empty space there, so a single space, and then replace it with the underscore and replace all. So this will put underscores in all your spaces, and then it will be one connected string that you can just copy over to your story system or your text lines here. There is a restriction as well that I want to mention. So if I highlight this entire line, my Notepad++ tells me that the selection holds 289 characters, so that's fine. From my tests, the maximum number of characters you can have in any one line is about 500. So as long as your line, that includes everything, that's the path to the image, that's the name, any spaces in between these or tabs, everything. The entire line can have up to 500 characters. So I think that's more than enough, and if it's not, you can just move on to another line and keep the same image and name. So if the person's doing a really long speech, you can just move it over. But for these type of games, I don't think you'll have a lot of speech unless you're trying to make an RPG type game. But that's the clever part of this story system that I really wanted to do. The idea actually came to me in a dream, which is a bit weird, but I mean, I managed to get it working. It took me about 3 days to do, but I got it. So I've let you do sound as well. So what this does is it will still show this on your next. So we went from Max's end of his text. We pressed the attack button. It played a sound file, and then it also displayed this next line. So you can put a single sound file, not multiple ones, just one single one, and then the path to the sound that you want to play. So for some texts, you got people shouting stuff or saying things like Mary. I got to shout hey, like she was annoyed or something. So yeah, that works. And the end tells the story system to basically kill this entity and end the story. So that will be the end. So the way of spawning it, so this is the first level, this is the example level. So when I spawn the story entity right here, I set the MP to 0, and what it will do is it will find text line 0. So in my notepad editor, I've got numbered lines. One of these notepad editors might help you out, or you can just leave like you can make a new argument at the end just to number your lines. Or this is actually line 0. So if you have got a notepad editor that has numbers on the lines, it will help you with this system a lot. Or like I said, you can make a little number at the end of the line, but it goes towards your maximum number of characters, I believe. So yeah, we started it here at 0, and it went through the story up until it found end and ended it. So I mean, it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use from what I think. And then I've spawned the example again. So when you kill the monster, the boss, you got this story starting. The MP is set to 6 when you spawn your story entity. So it doesn't matter what coordinates you spawn this thing at, you won't actually see the story entity. The MP is the only thing you need to actually put in there, because that will tell the code which line to start on. So here you got line 7. This is obviously because it starts at 0. This is line 6. So the story entity will start from here, do these 3 quick bits of text, and then end right there. So I've tried to make that as easy, as simple as possible, but it has a lot of room for customization. I mean, you could change a lot of things. So there is a text box that is displayed, so you can modify how big or small the text box is, where the text box is going to be displayed from and to. And yeah, you can mess about with all those settings right there. So again, I've used percentages. So I'm using the VRes and the HRes, which is the resolution of your mod. So this might look very different on a 640 by 480 mod. I've actually optimized it right now for 320 by 240. Even most of my mods are the PSP resolution 480 by 272. So this wouldn't fit in there very well. I'd have to change things about, but it's easily enough changed. Also, this is the image for pushing a. Okay, my son just came in the room. So what was I doing? I can't even remember where I was. Okay, so here we are. We were doing the push animation. So that's just for you to push a button. I mean, you can leave both of these images here empty. So these are the paths to the 2 images. So I've done one button and then one button getting pressed. So that will just switch between the animation. You can speed it up by changing the time here. But I mean, I think the one I've set as default seems to be okay. But you can also modify where it's going to be displayed. So it is called push. So get local var push here. That will control that sprite. So you got the resolution there, where you want to display it. Also, you've got the Z position of it. So you can move it forward into the foreground if you need to. But I think where I've set it is fine. It's in front of the text and the text box as well. So I've set this for 4 players. So all 4 players can press attack to skip any of the story elements. They can also press jump or escape to totally skip the entire cutscene for people who just want to get straight into the action and not read any of that stuff. So what else is there to cover on this? Don't think there's much else. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. this one bit here as well. This sets the maximum number of lines you can use in the story system. I've set mine to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I do is when I show the name, I have 2 line spaces, and then it will start the text. So I've actually got 3 lines for text, and once I display the name, I've got 2 line spaces. You can modify that up here. So this new line variable, you can set how many line spaces you want. You could either do 1 or 2, it's up to you. It might cause problems if you're using a different font for the name, especially if the font is a different size. I mean, if they're both the same size, it should be fine. So if you do want a different font for the name, here, set name for current line. You can just change font to whatever number you actually want. You can actually modify this exact, like I'll change it to a 1 right now. But the way I've done it by default, it will use the same font as the text for the rest of the story system. So hopefully this has given a nice insight on how this is used, and no one will have any problems using that. Just thinking if there's anything more I need to cover on that. Well, just to set it up for total beginners or noobs, you need to just add the story entity, the text story entity, into your models.txt. That's literally, whoops, what is this? Okay, where am I? Models.txt. So if I look for story, I've already added it. So I've got it there. No story, data story, story.txt. Simple as that. So this video will also come with a downloadable demo of this story system. I'll call it version 1 because I'm pretty sure I'm going to do updates on it. I mean, I already know. This is actually a story system I'm making from my Double Dragon baseline mod. So I already know that I'm going to have an option to have 2 portraits on the screen at once. At the moment it only displays 1. And just to quickly go over the portraits, the way I've done it by default in this system is your portrait should be the size of your mod. So if you open one of these with our paint program, so this portrait is 320 by 240, and I've just placed it exactly where I want to. I know that my text box starts 72 pixels from the bottom, so 72 pixels. I've set the image so it sits perfectly on top of the text box. If you've got a bigger image, you can just have them go all the way to the bottom of the screen, because the text box is semi-transparent, so you'll still be able to see the image through it. It's up to you. Obviously I was working with really small pictures here, so I had them sit on top of the text box. But that's the way I set them. You can move the characters to be on the left or the right, depending if they're enemy or a good guy. I haven't really done that 2 people talking to each other directly system. It's just, like I said, it's just a very basic, simple story system, but I probably will update it. So any questions, please just leave them in the comments, and I'll help the best I can. So thanks for watching the video, and enjoy the demo.